The strangest thing about the night my marriage died is that the person who tried to save it had my wife's last name. My name is Ethan Walker. 34 years old. Operations director at a logistics company in Denver, Colorado. To most people, that just means I spend my days solving puzzles about trucks, schedules, and warehouses. But to me, it was more than a job, it was proof that I could be steady. Dependable. The kind of man who always shows up. That's who I thought I was in my marriage too. My wife, Ava Harris Walker, and I had been married for 5 years, together for almost 7. She was radiant in every way I wasn't: warm, spontaneous, social. The kind of woman who could walk into a room full of strangers and walk out with half a dozen new best friends. Me? I was the guy refilling the chip bowl, making sure everyone's drink stayed cold. I thought that made us a team. We had a house in the suburbs, gray siding, white trim, the kind of place that looked like it came straight out of a real estate ad. I paid the mortgage, handled the repairs, shoveled the snow. Ava filled it with soft throws, candles that always smelled like cinnamon or vanilla, and endless photos of us smiling on vacation. At least, they looked like smiles. I worked long hours, but I never complained. Ava didn't work, and I never asked her to. She said she wanted time to find herself. I told her we had time. I told myself providing was enough. That night, everything broke. It was a Wednesday, around 10:41 p.m. I was at home alone, finishing up a budget report. The house was quiet, except for the hum of the refrigerator. My phone lit up with a call from Lily Harris, Ava's younger sister. We weren't close. She was 4 years younger than Ava, a nurse who worked long shifts. We saw each other at family holidays, exchanged polite small talk. She was kind, smart, but she'd always kept a distance. That's why the call froze me. I answered, thinking something terrible had happened. Ethan? Her voice was trembling. Lily? What's wrong? Is Ava okay? Silence on the line. Then, I can't keep quiet anymore. My stomach turned. What do you mean? I can't watch you keep loving her when she... Her voice broke. She's cheating on you. The words didn't make sense at first. They just hung there, unreal, like bad subtitles on a movie. No, I said flatly. That's not... It is, Lily interrupted. Her voice was sharper now, desperate. It's not a rumor. Not a mistake. She's been seeing someone for months. His name is Miles Parker. He's from her yoga studio. I sat back in my chair, pressing my hand against my forehead. Lily, do you know what you're saying? I do, she whispered. Because at first, she told me about him. She laughed like it was some silly fling. Then she started lying to me too. She asked me to cover for her. I can't do it anymore. Not to you. There was no accusation in her voice, only pain. I wanted to scream at her. To deny it. To tell her she was wrong. But deep down, something in me shifted, like a puzzle piece snapping into place. Little things I'd ignored, the late nights. At yoga. The phone turned face down on the couch, the way she stopped reaching for my hand in public. How do you know where she is? I asked finally. They're at the Harborlight Hotel. Room 607. If you go now, you'll catch them. I closed my eyes. All I could hear was the thudding of my pulse. Ethan. Lily's voice softened. I'm sorry. I know this will destroy you. But the truth is already there. You deserve to see it. For a long time, I didn't say anything. Then, like I was on autopilot, I muttered, "Okay." And I hung up. I don't remember the drive. Just the silence of the highway, the glow of neon signs, the feeling that my chest was collapsing inward. The Harborlight Hotel wasn't fancy, just a mid-range business hotel near downtown. I walked in through the automatic doors, nodded at the clerk, and rode the elevator to the 6th floor. There was a man with flowers riding up with me. He pressed 6. I pressed 6. When the doors opened, he went left. I went right. Room 607. I knocked. Once. Twice. My knuckles trembled against the wood. Then, using the steady housekeeping knock I'd picked up from years of travel, I rapped again. The door opened 2 inches. Ava's face appeared in the gap. Her hair was tousled, her lips swollen, her eyes wide. "Ethan?" she gasped. I saw recognition crash over her. I didn't need to see miles. I didn't need any more proof. I didn't speak. Didn't push the door. I just turned around and walked back toward the elevator. Each step felt like dragging cement. "Ethan!" "Wait, please." Her voice chased me down the hallway. But I didn't turn back. I walked out into the night air. It tasted like metal. I checked into a cheap motel near the interstate. The walls smelled like bleach, the ceiling had that old popcorn texture, and the bedspread was stiff as cardboard. I lay there all night, staring at the cracks in the ceiling. My phone buzzed twice after dawn. From Lily. 7:12 a.m. "I'm sorry. You didn't deserve this." 7:14 a.m. "If you want to talk, I'm here. If you don't, I'll still help you protect yourself." Protect myself. The words stuck in my head. By noon, I met her at a coffee shop downtown. She slid into the booth across from me, wearing her scrubs, hair pulled into a bun. She looked tired but determined. Without a word, she pushed a manila folder toward me. Inside were photos, screenshots of texts, timestamps. Proof. "I told her to stop," Lily said quietly. "I begged her. She didn't listen. She thought you'd never find out. That you loved her too much to ever question her." My throat was dry. "Why are you telling me this?" Her eyes filled with something like guilt, but steadier. "Because you're good, Ethan. You've always been good to her. And she didn't deserve that. You need to protect yourself. And I can help you." "How?" I asked. "Paper," she said simply. "Titles. Accounts. Leases. Everything is in your name. You've been carrying her. Now it's time to stop." I sat there, staring at the folder, at the weight of betrayal spelled out in black and white. And for the first time since I knocked on that hotel door, I felt something other than grief. Resolve. There's a strange calm that comes after devastation, like the eye of a storm. In the days after catching Ava, I thought I'd feel nothing but grief. But instead I felt clarity. A brutal, cold clarity that made every moment sharp. I hadn't moved back into our house. I stayed at the motel for 3 nights, then at a short-term rental Lily helped me find. I couldn't bear the thought of sleeping in the same bed where Ava used to curl up next to me, her head on my chest, while she whispered, "Forever." That word had rotted in my mouth. Lily checked in every day. Sometimes she brought coffee after her shifts, sometimes she just sent texts like, "Don't answer her calls." Or "Stay focused." Ava called, of course. She called, texted, emailed. At first, it was pleading. "Ethan, please, let's talk." Then defensive. "You're overreacting." Then desperate. "Don't throw away everything we built." Every message was like poison I refused to drink. Instead, I met Lily at a quiet diner off the interstate. We always sat in the corner booth, away from prying eyes. She always ordered black coffee. I stuck to water because my stomach was too knotted for food. "This isn't about screaming or breaking things," Lily said one night, her voice low, steady. "It's about control. Ava lived comfortably because of you. Now you make sure she feels what it's like to lose it." I stared at her. "She's still your sister." Her jaw tightened. "She stopped being my sister the moment she asked me to lie to you. Family doesn't put you in that position. Family doesn't burn bridges for a man who treats her like a hobby." Her words hit harder than I expected. I nodded slowly. "So where do we start?" I asked. She pulled out the folder again, thicker now, and spread documents across the table. Bank accounts in my name. The mortgage, the title to the car, even the insurance. Ava had signed nothing, carried nothing, owned nothing. She thought being taken care of was freedom, Lily murmured. But really, it's dependence. You hold the strings. Something inside me hardened. Then I'll cut her loose. The first move was the joint account. Ava had a debit card, one she used freely for groceries, online shopping, yoga classes, endless Amazon packages. I went to the bank and closed it. Transferred the funds into a separate account she couldn't touch. The clerk looked at me, polite but curious. You're sure you want to close this? Your wife. She won't be needing it, I said flatly. That night, Ava called 12 times in a row. When I finally listened to the voicemail, her voice was shrill with panic. Ethan, my card was declined. I was at the store like some idiot. Why would you do this? I deleted the message. The second move was the house. Our house. I'd been paying every dime toward the mortgage for years. I called a lawyer Lily recommended, a woman named Carla who had the sharp, efficient tone of someone who didn't waste time on pity. She's not on the deed? Carla asked. No. Then she doesn't have a leg to stand on. If she leaves, she takes her clothes, her personal belongings, maybe some furniture you're willing to part with. That's it. Her words felt like steel in my spine. For years, I'd let Ava convince me we were equals, that the love we shared erased the ledger of who carried what. But now, stripped of illusion, the truth was glaring. I'd been building the life. She'd been decorating it. And decoration is optional. Lily and I met again after I filed the paperwork. She listened quietly, sipping her coffee, eyes locked on me. You're doing good, she said finally. Good? I echoed bitterly. It feels ugly. Her hand reached across the table, briefly touching mine. It's survival. She chose ugly first. You're just answering it. Something in her gaze lingered a little too long, but I didn't pull away. Ava's unraveling came fast. By the end of the second week, she was still living in the house, but the pressure was visible. Her texts were unhinged now. How could you do this to me? Don't let Lily get in your head, she's jealous. I made a mistake, but we can fix it. Don't throw me away like trash. The irony almost made me laugh. I drove past the house one night, just to see. Lights were on, but the windows looked dark, heavy, like the soul of the place had left with me. For years I'd thought of that house as ours. Now, it felt like mine alone, and I wasn't sure she even belonged inside it anymore. The third move was the family. That was Lily's part. You sure you want me to? She asked. I nodded. They deserve to know what she's done. So she told them. Their parents, their cousins, everyone who still thought Ava was the golden child. And just like that, the pedestal crumbled. Her father called me personally. I'm sorry, Ethan. I don't know what's gotten into her. She always had everything, and she still threw it away. If you need anything from us, you ask? For a moment, I almost pitied her. Almost. But then I remembered her lips swollen from someone else's kiss. The final straw came when Ava tried to ambush me outside my office. She waited near the parking lot, tears streaking her face, clutching a crumpled jacket like it could shield her. Ethan, please! She cried, stepping in front of me. We can start over. I'll cut it off with Miles, I swear. You're the love of my life. Her words used to be spells. Now they were noise. You're free, Ava, I said quietly. Go live however you want. Just not with me. Her sobs echoed behind me as I walked away. That night, Lily and I sat in her car overlooking the city. The lights spread out below us like stars scattered across the earth. You did it, she said softly. I shook my head. Not yet. But I will. And for the first time in weeks, I let myself smile, not with joy, but with the satisfaction of a man who'd stopped bleeding and started sharpening his knives. There's a saying that people only realize what they had when it's gone. Watching Ava spiral was like watching that lesson carve itself into flesh. By the third week, her world was collapsing. She called me at least 10 times a day. I stopped listening to her voicemails after one particularly pathetic plea. Ethan, I know I messed up. But please don't do this. I can't breathe without you. I'll do anything, anything, just give me another chance. I deleted it, like all the others. She came to my office again, but this time security escorted her out. She sobbed, shouted, even cursed me, but her voice grew smaller with every failed attempt. Ava was used to control, to sweet-talking her way out of every mistake. Now she was powerless. And I was the one pulling the strings. The next stage wasn't my doing. It was Lily's. Are you ready? She asked one afternoon, sliding into the booth at the diner. For what? She slid her phone across the table. On the screen was a message she'd sent to their parents. The truth, written in plain, merciless detail. How Ava had cheated, how she'd begged Lily to keep her secret, how she'd risked everything for a man who wasn't worth a dime. They need to know the real her, Lily said simply. I hesitated. That's your family? She shook her head. No. Ava made her choice. Now she gets to live with it. The fallout was immediate. Her parents called me the very next day. Ethan. Her father's voice was strained but steady. I want you to know, you'll always be family to us. What Ava did was shameful. We raised her better than that. Her mother added softly. We don't even know who she is anymore. I thanked them, but inside, something twisted. Ava had dug her own grave, but watching her parents shovel dirt over her reputation was still surreal. Later that night, Lily texted me, she called them. They didn't even pick up. That was the breaking point. Ava had lost me, her comfort, her money, her home. And now, she'd lost the one safety net she thought would always catch her, her family. I saw her once by accident. I was leaving the grocery store when I spotted her by the bus stop. No car, she must have sold it or lost it. Her hair was unkempt, her clothes wrinkled, her face pale and hollow. She clutched a grocery bag like it was her last possession. For a second, our eyes met. Her lips trembled, but she didn't speak. Neither did I. Because in that silence, everything was already said. Meanwhile, Lily and I grew closer. It started small. She'd sit across from me at the diner, and instead of just talking strategy, we started sharing pieces of ourselves. She told me about her nursing shifts, how exhausting they were, how she sometimes cried in the break room because she couldn't save everyone. I told her about the nights I'd stayed up late, building budgets, working 2 jobs at the start of my career so Ava could find herself, without worry. The more we talked, the more I realized, Lily saw me. Not just the man Ava betrayed, not just a pawn in revenge, but the whole me, flawed, scarred, and trying to breathe again. One night, after we finished mapping out the last of the financial moves, she lingered. Ethan, she said softly, do you ever wonder what it would be like if things had been different? Her eyes burned into mine. I swallowed hard. Different how? If you'd met me first. The words hit like a jolt. My heart raced, but I forced myself to breathe. Lily, I started, but she shook her head. Don't answer. Not yet. Just think about it. And she left, leaving me with a storm I hadn't expected. The next morning, Ava showed up at my rental. She must have followed me. She stood at the door, thinner than I'd ever seen her, shaking. Please, she whispered. I don't care about the money. I don't care about the house. Just don't leave me alone. I stared at her, and for a flicker of a second, I saw the woman I once loved. The woman I'd built dreams with. But then I remembered every lie, every kiss she gave to someone else, every time she looked at me and said forever while meaning nothing. You already are, I said coldly. Alone. I closed the door. Her muffled sobs haunted me that night, but not enough to open it again. Lily came over 2 days later, bringing takeout and her tired smile. We ate on the couch, cartons of lo mein and orange chicken spread out between us. Halfway through, she looked at me, her expression soft. You don't have to do this alone, you know. I hesitated. What if I can't trust again? Then we'll take it slow. she said gently. No pressure. No promises we can't keep. Just see where it goes. Her hand brushed mine. And for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel anger. I felt hope. Small, fragile, but real. And as Ava's world burned to ashes, mine was slowly starting to grow again. Revenge doesn't come all at once. It comes in pieces, like pulling threads from a tapestry until it collapses. By the 4th week, Ava's tapestry was nothing but tangled strings. And I was the one holding the scissors. I didn't expect to run into Mark, one of our old friends, at the gym. We hadn't spoken in months, but he recognized me immediately. Ethan! Man, it's been forever. How's Ava? I paused, towel over my shoulder, eyes steady. She's not the person you think she is. His brows furrowed. What do you mean? I leaned closer, voice low but deliberate. Ask her yourself. Ask her who she's been spending her nights with while I was at work. His expression shifted, shock, then disbelief, then anger. Not at me, but at her. Jesus. I thought she was better than that. That's when I realized the final weapon wasn't money or property. It was truth. Over the next 2 weeks, word spread. Not because I shouted it, but because whispers travel faster than fire. Mutual friends stopped replying to her messages. Invitations dried up. Even the women she once gossiped with over wine nights pulled away. Betrayal was contagious. No one wanted to be close to someone who could do that to a man like me. Ava was becoming radioactive. One night, Lily and I drove past a bar downtown. Through the window, we spotted Ava sitting alone, nursing a drink, staring at the door like she was waiting for someone who'd never come. Lily exhaled softly. She looks empty. I didn't answer right away. Part of me felt that old ache, the memory of nights when she used to wait for me in that same hopeful way. But the ache was buried under something harder. She made her choice, I said finally. Lily nodded, but her hand brushed mine on the gearshift, a quiet reassurance. The next blow was unintentional, but brutal. Lily told me Ava had called her, voice trembling, asking for help. She wanted me to talk to you, Lily said. To convince you to let her back in. I frowned. What did you say? I told her the truth, Lily replied simply. That she destroyed her own life. That you don't deserve to carry her anymore. I stared at her, struck by the quiet fire in her eyes. That must have been hard. She's still your sister. Lily's voice cracked just slightly. Not anymore. Not after what she did to you. To us. That word, us, hung in the air. 2 nights later, Ava showed up at my rental again. Only this time, she wasn't begging. She was furious. You're turning everyone against me, she shouted, her face pale and wild. I stood in the doorway, calm as stone. No, Ava. You did that yourself. I just stopped protecting you. Her voice broke into a scream. I gave you the best years of my life. And you throw me away like garbage? I almost laughed at the irony. Funny. That's exactly what you did to me. I closed the door again. This time, I didn't hear her cry. Just the sharp sound of her heels as she stormed away. But in private, away from her chaos, something new was growing. Lily and I had fallen into a rhythm. Late-night calls. Shared meals. Even silence felt comfortable. One evening, we cooked dinner together at her apartment. Just pasta and garlic bread, nothing fancy. But the simple act of chopping vegetables side by side, laughing when she burned the first batch of bread, it felt like home in a way my house with Ava never had. When the food was ready, we sat at her small kitchen table. For a while neither of us spoke. Then Lily said quietly, Do you ever wonder if maybe all of this was meant to happen? That she left space in your life for something better? Her eyes held mine, searching, vulnerable. I swallowed, heart pounding. Maybe. Or maybe it's just chaos, and we're trying to make sense of it. She smiled faintly. Either way, I'm glad we're in it together. Something inside me softened. For weeks, My heart had been nothing but steel and fire. But with Lily, it felt like it could be flesh again. Ava wasn't done, though. She never knew how to quit. The last attempt came through her parents. Despite everything, she showed up at their door, begging for shelter. But Lily had already prepared them. Their father called me afterward. She came here, he said heavily. We told her she wasn't welcome. Ethan, we don't know what else to do for her. You've done enough, I said quietly. When I hung up, I felt a strange mix of pity and triumph. Ava had finally run out of places to go. That night, Lily came over. We sat on the couch, close but not touching, the weight of everything between us. She has nothing left, Lily whispered. She earned it, I replied. Silence stretched. Then, softly, Lily leaned her head against my shoulder. For the first time in months, I didn't feel broken. I felt ready. Not for a new love yet, but for the possibility of one. And sitting there, with the city lights spilling through the window and her warmth beside me, I realized something. Revenge hadn't just destroyed Ava. It had set me free. There's a strange silence after revenge runs its course. Like the echo after thunder, when the storm has passed but the air still tastes of rain. For weeks, I had lived inside that storm. And now, at last, I could breathe. Ava tried once more. It was a Thursday evening. I came home from a late meeting to find her sitting on the steps of my rental, knees tucked to her chest. Her makeup was smudged, her eyes hollow. Ethan, she whispered, standing as I approached. Please! I've lost everything. My friends, my parents, my home. You're all I have left. I looked at her for a long moment. Once, those words would have broken me. Once, I would have rushed to gather her up, to fix her mistakes, to carry her burdens. But that Ethan was gone. You had me, I said evenly. And you threw me away. Her lips trembled. I didn't know what I wanted. Yes, you did. I cut her off. And it wasn't me. For a heartbeat, the world held still. Then she broke, sobs racking her frame. I walked past her, unlocked my door, and went inside. Through the window, I saw her sink back onto the steps, cradling her head in her hands. But I didn't go back out. Not this time. Not ever again. That was the last time I saw her. Life has a way of filling voids when you clear out the rot. The days grew calmer. Work was steady. I started running again, feeling my body come alive in a way it hadn't in years. Nights weren't haunted by Ava's voice anymore. They were quieter, lighter. And Lily was there. Always there. She'd drop by with dinner after her shifts, sometimes burgers, sometimes pizza. We'd eat on the couch, talking about nothing and everything. She'd tell me stories from the hospital, about the elderly man who insisted on singing to every nurse, about the little boy who wanted to be a firefighter. I'd tell her about my projects, my clients, the way rebuilding felt like breathing again. It was simple. Uncomplicated. And yet, it meant more than all the grand gestures I'd once tried with Ava. One Friday night, I invited her out, not for plotting, not for business, but just us. We ended up at a small Italian restaurant. Candlelight flickered across her face, softening her tired eyes. She laughed at my terrible jokes, and I realized I hadn't heard that sound, real, genuine laughter, in years. Halfway through dinner, I reached for my glass, but she reached for my hand instead. The touch was hesitant, questioning. I didn't pull away. Instead, I laced my fingers through hers. It was that simple. And that monumental. Weeks turned into months. By the time spring came, it was clear we weren't just trying something. We were building something. One night, walking her home, she stopped on the sidewalk and turned to me. Ethan, she said softly, are you sure about this? About us? I don't want to be a rebound, or a consolation prize. I cupped her face, forcing her eyes to meet mine. You're not a rebound. You're the only thing that's felt real in a long time. Her eyes shone, And she kissed me then, slow, certain, sealing something we'd both been afraid to name. Ava, from what I heard, drifted farther and farther away. She moved out of state eventually, chasing something new. Or maybe just running from herself. I didn't follow her story, because mine was finally moving forward. The day I asked Lily to marry me wasn't grand or dramatic. We were in the kitchen, cooking breakfast, laughing about how I'd burned the bacon again. I reached into the drawer, pulled out the ring I'd been carrying for weeks, and set it on the counter between us. Her laughter died. She looked from the ring to me, her eyes wide. "Ethan, I don't need speeches," I said. "I don't need a perfect moment. I just need you. All of you. For as long as you'll have me." She didn't answer with words. She kissed me, tears running down her face, her hands gripping mine like she'd never let go. That was enough. More than enough. Standing at the altar months later, her hand in mine, I thought about the path that had brought us there. The lies, the betrayal, the nights of rage. And how, out of the ashes, something pure had grown. Love. Not the reckless love that burns out fast, but the kind that stays. The kind worth fighting for. And as Lily whispered her vows, I knew revenge had ended a chapter. But she was my new beginning.